ladies and gentlemen. Welcome our host for the evening, Rita Bailey, an extraordinary leader, entrepreneur, author, and coach who truly embodies the essence of people first. A former executive of Southwest Airlines, a thought leader, strategic facilitator, and current CEO of her family gift business, she believes in living your best life with energy, commitment, and gratitude. Her life mantra, no missed opportunities nor regrets. Ladies and gentlemen, Rita Bailey.
Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Wow. Look at all those smiling faces out there. Well, I'm sure no one in the audience knows Adrian Clark, right? That's why we're all here, and we're going to take you on a journey this evening, just so you get to know him a little bit better. And those of you who don't know him, you will know him by the end of this evening. Before we start, I'd like to introduce my co-host, Michael Smith. And Michael and I are going to share with you how we came to know Adrian. Michael was also a colleague at Southwest Airlines. I actually had the opportunity to interview, and I'm the reason that he got the job at Southwest Airlines. So he's forever indebted. So he went on to do great things there after I left. He worked with Herb Kelleher directly. Those of you who remember Herb Kelleher, the CEO, chairman, everything to Southwest Airlines. He was a writer for him, and that's really relevant for tonight's story. So he did a lot of Herb's personal writing, technical writing, and he became somewhat of a Renaissance man during his tenure there and even after he left, because he did just about anything you can name, and there are things I can't even talk about on the stage. So without further ado, Michael Smith. So Michael and I are going to start off and just share with you how we both came to be here tonight, okay? Right. Do you want to sit, Michael, or? Yeah.
Why not? There's a chair with my name on it.
Okay, me too. We feel so important tonight. Oh my gosh. This may be the beginning of something. So in 2015, I got a call from someone who had been referred by this guy. So I'd like for Michael to start and tell you where the journey began.
Well, at that time, I was living, and still am living, in Salt Lake City. I moved there in 2015, along with my family, after living here in Dallas for 25 years. And the first job I took was I was working as a chauffeur for a limousine company. We got a call. My boss said, this guy, he's a boxing manager. He needs a car for tonight. And I went, okay, I'm on. So I pick Adrian up, and we go out and we're driving around. I'm taking him to dinner, take him to, and then to stop at an ATM because he forgot money. And and along the way, he just starts chatting a bit with me, and he says, yeah, I'm thinking about writing a book, and I need to talk to a writer. So I raised my hand. He said, well, what have you done? I said, well, I ghost wrote for the Southwest Airlines and managed a 500-page manual for the company and a couple of other things. And he goes, okay, stop there. So that began a connection. And we started chatting by phone. He started sending me chapters, and pretty soon we had a book. And that was the beginning of his time as an author and my time as an editor, as on a freelance basis.
Yeah. 2 careers launched at the same time. And this is relevant because it didn't happen by chance. You know, they say there are no accidents. And Michael, talk about luck. What's luck?
Obviously, I mean, whatever you want to call it, I just call it luck for convenience's sake. I was up that evening to work. Adrian called our company, of all the ones he could have called, and that put us in the same car for 4 hours. And then he decided to just ask this perfect stranger a question. And that began everything right there. And it was just his being open to what this guy in the front seat might have to say that got it all going. And it all reminds me of there's an article, and I can send you the link if you want to see it. A researcher wanted to find out why and how some people are lucky, or they think they're lucky. And so he got a few hundred subjects and had them fill out a survey. Do you think you're lucky? Are you a lucky person? And based on their answers, he divided them up, and he had them come into his office there at the university, and they sat down and they would look at a newspaper on a table, and he'd say, I want you to count the number of photographs in that newspaper. And then he'd leave the room. And they'd have a camera, hidden, watching them. And these people would sit down and they'd start paging through the newspaper. Okay, 1, all right, 2, and they'd go through the whole newspaper, and then they'd write down how many there were. One group of people didn't finish reading that newspaper. They didn't finish going through it. They just opened to page 3 here on the right, and there was a full-page ad that said, stop reading. There are 16 pictures in this newspaper. Write that down and go tell the professor. And they did, and they got up and they did. And others plotted through the whole thing and counted, and they got the same answer, but it took them a lot longer. Which do you think was the lucky group? Yeah, it was the first one, the ones who read the ad, because as they went through the newspaper, they're going, oh, that's an interesting newspaper. Okay, there's a picture. And they would look at things and read things. They kept their eyes open to the possibilities of what was in front of them. So you can be lucky. All you have to do is try, take your time, smell the roses, open to possibilities, just like Adrian was in the backseat of that limousine.
And the irony of it is, I hadn't talked to Michael in years, since I left Southwest Airlines shortly after he started. And so it was years before we had even connected. I knew he was in Salt Lake City, but that was it. And this guy calls me out of the clear blue, and he goes, hey, you don't know me. My name's Adrian Clark, and I was referred to you by this guy named Michael. I was like, Michael, I know a lot of Michael. So he told me the story, and Michael had referred him to me because Michael said, hey, I can help you write the book, but I can't help you market it. And I spent many years in marketing, and so natural connection, he thought, well, you can help him with the marketing, and you're both there in Dallas. So when he called me, I said, well, it was one of those calls where you go, do I want to take this on, But I was curious, and that's another key word. I was curious enough, lucky, or just eyes open to say, what's the possibility? Let me meet this guy. So we met at a local cafe over a beverage, and he told me what had happened. And I said, wow, that's so interesting. And the fact that I hadn't talked to Michael in years, and then he refers me all the way from Salt Lake City. Now, it's one of those things where you go, none of that is a coincidence, right? It all just connected the dots because we were open. And that was in 2015. So Adrian and I kept meeting because I never have helped him with marketing. That's the irony of it. We just started talking, and he started telling me what he was doing and what he wanted to do and what his vision was. And I was so enamored with this young man who had such big dreams. And so I kept meeting with him. And so at least once a month, we get together over coffee and just talk. It wasn't a coaching. It wasn't anything formal. He kept saying he was going to pay me, but I'm still waiting. But so we just kept talking, getting to know each other. And I'm a bit more mature than he is. And so as he would talk about things, I go, well, yeah, okay, that sounds interesting. But have you considered this? And I think what caught his attention was I was never overly impressed by him. Other people were like in awe. Oh my God, this guy was in Forbes 30 under 30. And oh my gosh, he's written a book. And oh my God, he's been in the boxing industry and he's done these things. Well, I just didn't give in to that. It's like, okay, that's impressive, but don't get full of yourself. That was my message. It's like, you need to keep a level head about all this because as quickly as success comes, it can go, it can leave you. And so he listened. And there are so many people who never listen to that. They think, what do you know? You're old, you know? And so I knew he came from good stock, his parents, just by the stories that he told me. And I thought, well, I'm not trying to replace your mama, okay? But I bet I'm saying some things that she probably has said to you or wants to say. And sometimes children can hear it from somebody else easier than they can hear it from their parents. And so I took full advantage of that. And so we went on to build this relationship. So bringing us to today, I get this call just a few weeks ago, and he says, hey, I've rented this theater and I want to just have this session, and, would you like to host? And I find it hard to say no to him now because I'm always curious as to what he has up his sleeve. And he's published now, what, 5 books?
6.
6 books. 6 books. All very different. So his life has been very transparent. Many of you may have read some of these. So when he called and asked, I said yes. And so that's what brings us here tonight. And we are here to serve as the host and the guides for this. It's not scripted. He has no idea what we're going to ask him about. He has no idea what he's going to say. So I just want you to know that this is going to be very free flowing. And at the end, you're going to have the opportunity, if you still have questions, to ask him as well. Okay, so what he said to me was, I want to just have conversations like we have when we meet, but I want to do it in front of an audience. And I went, okay. But my question was, so what? What's in it for them? Because that could come across as being ego-driven. It's like, okay, you're so full of yourself, you just want to tell everybody about yourself, okay? And that was not his motive at all. His motive was, maybe you will be inspired by something you hear tonight. Maybe you will think about your own dreams. Maybe you might consider opportunities that you've missed because you didn't have your eyes open. You didn't feel lucky. You were fearful. And Adrian is living proof that if you dream it, and if you just follow through with your commitment to it, and you have passion behind it, that your dreams come true. And that's what he's going to talk about tonight. So, is there anything else, Michael, you want to say before we bring the man out?
I'm ready to go.
Okay. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the man of the hour, Adrian Clark. There he is.
Thank you. What's up, everybody? What lies have they told so far?
We set you up good.
Clearly.
Now you just got to live up to it.
Everybody's really close.
They are.
It's a little bit further
These are people
back.
who know you, love you, and if they don't, they're going to by the
Right.
time this is over.
Right.
And we told them this is not scripted. You don't know what you're going to be asked or what you're going to say. So we're going to just flow with it like we do when we meet.
Good deal. Good deal. A little bit of a edit with the story Mike told. I took a minute with the meeting that I was having, and Mike was kind of eavesdropping a little bit because I didn't start talking to him about writing a book. I was actually talking to a friend on the phone about writing a book. And once I got off the call, then I started talking to him based off of the dialogue that him and I had. So I appreciate you eavesdropping that day, because if you wouldn't have said anything, it's not the point that I wouldn't have tried to write a book, but the process, man, just would have been so difficult. You literally held my hand through all 6. And everything that you guys see, it may look like it's just me because I'm out front, but this man and this woman have done so much for me, not just as an author, but as a businessman, a man, a father. But you really did your thing with grooming me into author, man. So I really appreciate you eavesdropping.
Just being lucky.
Yeah, right.
Or nosy.
Nosy is a good word to use.
But we walk around with our devices. And so we were in New York recently, and it's like everybody's just walking around looking down. You would be amazed how much you miss by just looking down, looking at these devices and not looking up and looking at what's around you. And so I was thinking about different words that come to mind when I think about Adrian and what really impressed me. And God, there's a list of words, but one of the first is, in addition to lucky, is curious. I had the C thing going. Curious, courageous, committed. Those are three of the C words. I have a lot more words, but when I think about those words, where does that come from?
I was going to ask you, you should have asked my mom to help you out with some of the words. She would have gave you some words of what she really thinks about the journey. But all those words, yeah, you really caught me off guard with that first one. To be honest with you, I really don't think too deeply into things aside from the projects. So in regards to the words, I hear them, but I think it's more so kind of just, I know that I'm courageous. I know that I'm a lot of words, but I just don't really sit and just think. You talk a lot about just not taking things or not taking yourself too seriously. And that's one thing on my journey. I really don't take myself seriously. But the projects and the people, I take those things more seriously than anything. So the words, I just really never just sat and thought about. But I know a lot of what I'm doing is courageous and it's outside the box, but that's a bit of my upbringing, but also the things that have happened along my journey that attributes to that. But good first question to really throw me off. I like it. I like it.
So, yeah, and that was my assessment. Again, these are not necessarily words, like you said, that you sit and think about and go, I'm going to be more courageous. I'm going to be more committed. But it's other people are watching you all the time. They're watching what you've done. And I'm sure everybody in this audience who knows you would have their own words for you as well. Uh, you know, I have to, I laugh because I think about some of our first meetings, and I was just saying, he was a young visionary, big dreamer. He was a little bit cocky too, okay? He had a little of that going on. And I was saying earlier that one of the things that I think probably caught your attention is I was never impressed by that. I mean, to the point of, ooh, look, And so it would always level set, he'd go, okay. Because I'd say, okay, whatever.
That was a driving, and I told you this before, that was a driving force. She's not impressed by anything that I've done. I typically would look out to other people and they're like, oh man, it's dope what you're doing, or they'll rave about it. But when I sat in front of you and I'm telling you my ideas and what I'm gonna do, and the look on your face, I'm like, not excited about what I'm saying. It really threw me for a loop. So every time, every accomplishment, I would kind of run back to you with this. All right, now do you like approve? And it's still like, okay, so what's next? It's like, damn, like there's nothing that impresses this woman. I know her grandkids are laughing because I know y'all feel it. Like I'm pretty sure she is impressed, but she damn sure don't show it. So, but that really drove me, and it still does, because I sit with you to this day, and I don't get a rise out of you. I'm impressed by this. So that really is a driving force for sure.
And we wouldn't have been still having these conversations since 2015 if I weren't impressed, okay? And I guess I'm just a believer in so many people, and I'm a coach as well. So I hear people who tell me all the time what they aspire to do and what they want to do, but they don't implement. They don't follow through. I have another mantra, and it's faith, focus, and follow through. And I know everybody who knows me has heard me say that. And you have to have all three. You have to have faith in yourself and something bigger than yourself. You have to have focus because you can do a lot of things, right? But some people are all over the place instead of focusing, and then you got to follow through. And that was one of the things that did impress me about Adrian. He would have these ideas. We had times where, and I remember when he brought the idea and the concept of protect yourself at all times, which is one of his books, but it was, I think, maybe share with them what the catalyst was. Where did that come from? Because that goes back to your roots, early roots from the boxing.
Right. I mean, you guys know a lot about boxing. If you don't, the fighters get taken advantage of either contractually or financially, just based off of the lack of education in the sport. You become an amateur boxer and they teach you how to fight, but in regards to you have aspirations to go pro, there's nothing to teach you about the business side of the sport. And the sport is almost probably past a century years old, and you would think someone would present something or put something together to help the fighters educate themselves to better protect themselves, but nothing. So Jerry Belmonte, my first client, I learned the game through Jerry, and I made a lot of mistakes. I actually mismanaged Jerry's career. I was 23 years old, and I didn't know what I was doing, and there was no one that would give me the time of day. The emails I sent out just went, just no response at all. And at 23, I really had to learn on the fly. His mom was really looking at me like, bro, you better get this shit right. Like my son's livelihood is at stake. So I did. I really had to, let's say, fake it till you make it. There was a lot of faking going on, but we figured things out. But had I had a mentor or someone that could help me on my journey, or just give me some tidbits, that would have helped me. But I noticed that Jerry didn't know anything about the business. He was 11 fights in and didn't know what contracts were, how much money he was supposed to make. So all of that, the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what, I should do something about this. And I'm gonna do something about this type of guy. I see a problem or I see something, I'm thinking the solution. What's the solution to this? And that's where protect yourself at all times came from. That was a big problem. And there still is a big problem in the sport of boxing. But I created something to service a need for the fighters. And, we talk about this also. They appreciate you when you're gone. So I feel like the book and everything else will take off even more, after I'm gone. I think Ace will really see it through, but there's now something with protect yourself at all times that educates the fighters, and there's no excuse anymore. There's no more, oh well, I didn't know, or there's nothing. No, there is something now with the book, with the film, with everything that we've put up, the training course, everything. That there's something now. So that was important, and also there's this young guy here, Noe Mendoza. Noe, where you at? Right back there. Stand up for me. No. Noah's young guy, and he's out of South Texas, right? There's collegiate boxing because of him. Young guy. Yeah, give him a round of applause, please. It's guys like him that are gonna push things forward. You're in law school now, right? First year law school. It's guys like him that will push things forward, because with there being collegiate boxing now they're even closer to education. So we can form something to where you are participating for whatever college, but you're learning about protect yourself at all times. That will help guys out as far as crossing that barrier and making the transitional process into the pros. But it's young guys like him. It's funny calling him a young guy because his age, I was just starting my career, but it's young guys like him that we're gonna push things forward, man. So thank you for coming out, man, and much respect to everything that you've done. I hope I'm around to see the turn that you're gonna bring, brother. No doubt.
That was huge, though, to take on something like that with a sport that he loved, that he saw a need, and to take that on. How many of us every day we see things that are needed? We are involved and we go, well, somebody else will take care of that. It'll fix itself, or it's not my problem. And to see something that really needs a solution and have that kind of passion, that you're willing to step into it blindly and just go for it. Because he went up a lot against, what he's not telling you, there were lots of obstacles and lots of odds he was against too. Because by educating the fighters, it, and something you said to me a long time ago, you said they need to know that the managers and the promoters and all those people that are capitalizing off of them work for the fighter, the boxer, not the other way around, which is how they were treated. And that's huge. And to take that on, you can imagine that some of those promoters and managers are none too happy to educate the fighters, right? To say, wait a minute, you work for me. So
Yeah, we don't. But in boxing, you get into the sports industry, you do business with people that you don't like all the time, and there's always someone that's looking to transcend the sport or disrupt it or make things difficult. But you don't mess up the money. You gotta keep the money going. So as much as they probably don't like me or don't like dealing with me or Jolene, I think they don't like dealing with Jolene more than me. But we still get things done. So there was drawback, and there were things that were said at a distance, but there were never anything that was something else.
So one more question along the boxing lines, because you've done a lot of things since that early conversation and protect yourself at all times. It's sort of branched out into all these other things, although boxing has always been the foundation. But how do you feel? How do you still feel connected to that world?
It's always going to be a part of me. I'm never going to be able to get away from boxing because it's been 14 years in the industry. I fought in college, and I always laugh. I'm glad EJ's not here because a lot of you know I fought in the amateurs in college, but I don't really go into detail about it because my last fight wasn't, it didn't go as well as I got knocked out, and it was like 30 seconds. It was quick. He threw a right hook. Timothy Tipton. I'll never forget his name. He threw a right hook that we were both nervous. Okay, let me go back. It wasn't the same guy from the weigh-ins. Let me just make that clear. We weighed in the day before. I remember a tall, kind of scrawny guy. The day of the fight, we in the back changing, like, Paul's dude take off his shirt, and he's ripped up. I told my coach, I was like, yo, that's not, that ain't the same dude.
You started feeling sick about that time, didn't you? Like,
I didn't want to show I was like scared, but I wanted to make note, bro, that's not the same guy that weighed in. But he was more nervous than me. I could just tell by his movements, he was more nervous than me. But man, we got in that ring, and at first, he was doing what I was doing. He was following me, but then something just clicked. And man, he threw this weaving right hook. That's the last thing I remember. He threw this weaving right hook, and he hit me. And I only can tell this part because I went back and watched the film. I hit the ropes, and I just knew to clinch. So I just grabbed onto him, and I didn't let him go. And the ref finally broke us up, and I was kind of dazed a little bit, and the ref was talking to me. I don't remember any of this in real time. And I remember snapping back into it, and the ref was like walk to me, and man, I went to take a step, and I stumbled, and he was like, "Oh no, that's the fight." He waved the fight, and I'm looking around like what happened? And then they showed me the tape in the back, and I was like, "Yeah." So I think the business side of sports is gonna be what's best for me. And yeah, Timothy Tipton's right hand back in 2009. That was the second Golden Glove competition. Timothy Tipton's right hand knocked me into the business of boxing. So I've been back in since then. It's never the same after something like that. But yeah, anybody see Timothy Tipton, man, tell him holler at me.
But I think we all have those defining moments, don't we? And you can probably think of many in your own life where it's like that thing that happened, and it's like it was the pivotal point for you to change direction. It's like, oh, it's time to leave this job, or oh my God, it's time to leave that relationship, or oh my gosh, it's time to get out of this business, right? So we have to pay attention to those things too, because sometimes they knock us into a better opportunity and something bigger and greater than we could have imagined. So,
Right.
yeah. So, Michael, did you have any questions about the boxing? Because I'm going to move on to some other things here.
I knew nothing about boxing when I started working on Adrian's books. You know, I mean, my thought was, you know, maybe these two guys, these two fighters should get together before the match and, you know, with a mediator and see if they can work out their differences and then they don't have to fight. And that didn't go over. But I've learned a lot thanks to, yeah.
No, I same here. I just knew from the movies about the iconic boxers, you know, that's what I knew about boxing. And so I found it fascinating just to get into that world and get inside his head and just see, you know, and hear what it was all about. So, yeah, yeah. So, as we moved on, I remember once him coming to my office and he said, you know, I got this idea about how I'm going to really promote protect yourself at all times. And I have these other things. And he had like a litany of things that he was going to do. So we got on the whiteboard. That was probably one of the only formal times that we actually met. I said, okay, you got too much going on here. And so we need to decide strategically what's first, you know? And so we put it all up on the board and it was a beautiful picture because I mean he had quite a vision of, you know, here's this in the center and then here's all the things that can branch off from it and he at the time he had his own company and he was thinking about making a transition and maybe talk a little bit about that time.
I'll say that's probably the only, you weren't wrong. You're never wrong. You're never wrong. Let me go on record saying that you're never wrong. But that was
Glad you got that, okay?
Yeah, I want to make that right. You're never wrong, but I think that was the only time where I knew I had to make my own choice and follow what I knew because we were talking about AC Sports. AC Sports Management was the first company that I created, and from there went protect yourself at all times and so on and so forth. But you were, and Chris Cheney was a part of that meeting also, and you guys were saying, you know, focus on protect yourself at all times. Like that's where you're going to generate the money from. And the focal point was protect yourself at all times. And it was kind of leaving AC Sports out in the cold. I always had this mindset in my head. I never probably told anybody this, but I always knew I was going to sell AC Sports Management. And my mindset was I was going to sell AC Sports Management to Wasserman Group. Excuse me. And I told myself that my private thoughts, I'm going to sell AC Sports Management to Wasserman Group. And things got bad. And my parents can attest to it, man. Entrepreneurship, oh, man, I just didn't know. Man. Ignorance is bliss, they say, and it's absolutely right because I didn't know how hard entrepreneurship actually was. And I believe that if I did know how hard it was, I wouldn't have done it at all. And I think the same thing for my parents. We just didn't know how difficult the journey would be. But I planted that seed in my head that I was going to sell AC Sports to Wasserman Group. And when things was at like its worst, man, I remember Rick Roberts. Rick Roberts is Rick here? I don't know if Rick is here. Rick is my guy. Rick is one of the best sports agents in the NFL, man. And Rick was the guy that I met him. His former company was doing a boxing match. They hired me to be a consultant. I drove to Louisiana to help them out. Just older guys that just wanted to see fights. Long story short, we ended up getting really cool, and they told me, you know what, we could see ourselves adding boxing to our division, and that really got me excited because not having any money and having to ask my mom for money, or I used to take my dad's quarters. I didn't have gas for the Camaro, so I would take his quarters. I would take a shirt full of quarters, like literally. I would go take a shirt full of quarters, man, and go to the gas station to get gas. Like that's how bad things were. That definitely, I never. They knew the story, but I never told the story out loud. I used to take quarters from my dad's drawer when he wasn't home. This wasn't my teenage stage. Heart of entrepreneurship, man. Didn't have any money, so I would go to their house for food and napkins, and I would take quarters from and go get gas, man, just to make it back to the crib. And that shit did, man. It hurt doing it. He never tripped. That's my pops, man. My pops never tripped about it. You know, he would always ask me, No, you all right? You need anything? My mom would be the one that would trip, call me. She would trip, but my dad, man, he never tripped on it. He just was making aware that he knew, what was going on. But I remember Rick Roberts, he moved companies. He went to Ballinger Group. He kind of disappeared for a little bit. And I'm like, damn, man, I thought we was going to make this deal happen. And for a little bit, I made up the story in my head that, like, Rick abandoned me. Like, he told me that we were going to do this deal. And then all of a sudden, he just disappeared on me. And it really had me messed up because, I'm living with someone and, I can't help pay rent or anything. And I'm banking it off of this deal. And for months, we didn't talk. And then one day, he called me. Rick called me, and he was like, yo, I'm with this company called Ballinger Group now, man. And this guy named James Ballinger, like, he want to meet you. I'm going to take you to his house. And I'm thinking, like, yeah, right, I need some money, man. But he did. He came and picked me up, and we rode to Highland Park. And my boys know, like, Highland Park, at certain, like, bro, we ride to Highland Park at nighttime, and I'm driving. I'm driving. I was like, I don't know about this, but, man, we went to James Ballinger's house, and it's usually me vouching for someone else, like telling someone else why they should do something. But I just watched Rick, like, sell me to this guy. And I'm just standing there in this huge house in Highland Park. I'm like, they'll call it police. I'm just standing here. But before we left, Rick kind of pulled me to the side. He was like, yo, like, they're gonna acquire it, bro. Like, you good. And I remember the Ballingers, James and Alex, they surprised me in New York. We had a fight in New York, and they showed up to the fight. They flew in on their private jet. I got them credentials. I pulled James into the ring, and that's what really sold it. So when I got back home, maybe like a week later, there were no lawyers or anything. We sat down, myself and James and his wife. We sat down and agreed to a deal to where they gave me a little bit of money up front, and then they gave me a salary to come on board and work for Ballinger Group. So my AC Sports was acquired by Ballinger Group. So I said all of that to say that I may not have sold to Wasserman Group, but I sold to Ballinger Group. So whatever group it was, like, who cares? It got acquired, and that was the end of AC Sports, man. And yeah, that was a crazy time. But yeah, I needed to tell that part because, like I said, him and my mom were the only one that knew about the quarters and stuff. But yeah, I've came a long way.
I hope he's paid you back. No.
I took him. Wait. I took you to.
Yeah.
I got you, Bob. I got you. You gotta come on one of the trips, man. Mom for all the trips. You gotta come on the trips. But yeah, that was a time. That was true.
Well, and I think this is a really important point because this is when most people give up. When they're having to take quarters from their pops, and anyone who's ever been an entrepreneur knows that it's like this. It gets rocky. And during the rough time is when you really are tested. That's when the breakthroughs happen. And that's one of the things I think courageous and tenacious, those words come to mind because you didn't give up, even though you were at a low point, and you just kept going. And it's continuing to put one step in front of the other and not give up. If there's something you really want, nobody can, you're the only one responsible for whether or not you're going to be successful or not. You got to just keep showing up. Yeah. And so that's what I've seen in him. And he's come a long way from quarters to pay for gas.
Oh yeah, but the competitive nature though, entrepreneurship was not going to defeat me. I saw him out the corner of my eye. Desmond Ward. Stand up real quick. Desmond Ward, probably one of the best basketball players I've ever had to go up against. But that's where I get the competitive spirit from, to where I never beat him. We never beat Des.
And he said you never will.
And you know what? He's kind of older now, but he's probably right. But that's where he just turned 42. But man, we used to be in the backyard, and every time I would get close, and it's like he knew that I wasn't gonna win, but man, I would go so hard against him, just trying to get that last point or hoping that he missed. And every time that it just was right there, I'm like, okay, I got him. I would either miss or I would mess up. So you really helped me out, man, in regards to my competitiveness and like understanding that mistakes. If I'm in a position to where this is game, I have to capitalize. If I miss the shot or if something falls apart, I'm gonna lose, and that's what always happened with you. So you are a huge part of my competitive nature to where I can be down 14 or whatever it may be. I'm gonna figure it out to make a way, but now I'm a bit sharper to where I know once this game, I'm more strategic now. So I think at your older age, man, I probably could, if I could get to game point, there ain't gonna be no mistakes made, man. But I appreciate you for, man, it was years of us going 1-on-1 or 2-on-2, you and Hype, me and Fred, man, we never could beat y'all. But that's where I got that competitive spirit from, really with him.
You know, you make such a good point because all along, as you hear Adrian talk about his journey, he didn't do it alone, and he has brought. I mean, Michael and I are fortunate enough to sit here on stage, but there are so many people. Every event, everything that I've gone to, that I see the people around him who really care about him, who have taught him lessons along the way, and he has embraced them, and he's grateful. And that gratitude goes a long way. He acknowledges and he's grateful for what people do. And so often, you know, we see people try to help them or people do things to support them, but they never acknowledge it. They never acknowledge those people. And so that's another really important message. I think as you bring the folks along, because nobody who's ever been successful has done it alone. And so, you know, embrace that. Embrace those people who try to help you and acknowledge them and be grateful because it is a gift.
It definitely takes a village. You know, me becoming an author, I gotta just give all the thanks to Mike because I would not have that title if it wasn't for him. In regards to business and entrepreneur, I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for you. And I can go probably to everybody in this room that I know and tell you a story about either how they helped me or how we helped each other or the times that we spent together to take each other to another level. So, yeah, it's been quite a ride. But yeah, definitely takes a village.
So, anything else about entrepreneurism? Because we all know it's hard and we all know it takes commitment now. Is there anything else that?
I mean, just honestly, just you have to seize the opportunities. That's the big thing for me. I think with entrepreneurship, you really have to seize the opportunities. I think a lot of times some people are just too cool for school. It's like we just kind of sit back and the opportunity is right there, whether it's a person, place, or thing. The opportunity is right there, but people are either scared or embarrassed or whatever the situation may be. You have to seize the opportunities when it comes to entrepreneurship, and don't be afraid to quit. There were plenty of times that I quit. I went to work at Gold's Gym for a week. Things just got too bad. I needed some money, and I went to Gold's Gym in the YMCA. I tell two quick stories. One story, I was working at Gold's Gym, needed to get paid, needed some money, so I went to Gold's Gym, and the manager that hired me was a retired professional boxer. And we were talking about boxing all the time, and he told me, he was like, man, you're not gonna be here much longer, man. You got to get back to what you started. James was his name, I can't remember his last name, but I spent maybe like a week at Gold's, and then I started doing personal training myself while just figuring things out. So, but a sign was there. James was there to kind of point me back in the right direction. And then another time I quit entrepreneurship, I went to go work at the YMCA as a personal trainer. I know y'all, a personal trainer, but at one point I was training people. But I went to the interview at the YMCA downtown, man, and I just got my Camaro, which I couldn't afford. My parents probably helped me pay for that. But I remember. But I remember I parked the Camaro and I parked it backwards away from everybody because just got it. I didn't want my car to get hit. parked away from everybody. And interview went well. Told me she was gonna hire me. So I'm walking to the car. I'm thinking, all right, bet, like I'm good. At least I got some money coming in. And I saw this note on my windshield from a distance. And I'm thinking, all right, like probably a girl saw me walking in or whatever it may be. She threw a number on my windshield. So I'm walking up to it thinking in my head, all right, bet I got something. I open up the letter and it says, I'm sorry I hit your car. And I step back and I'm looking. I'm like, somebody hit my car. Somebody playing a joke on me or whatever. And I'm looking, and then like out my corner view, I see this older white gentleman walking towards me, and we're in the like parking garage. And he walks up to my car, older guy, and he's like, "Man, I'm sorry I hit your car." And I was like, "Where?" And he pointed to it. I don't know how I didn't see it, but he did. He swiped the front of my car. He knocked the whole Camaro off the side of it, and I'm like, damn, like, and he was very apologetic. I talked to his wife, and one thing he said before he left, he said, I bet you're never gonna come back to this garage again. And I heard that differently because I'm here for an interview, for a job. I'm stepping away from entrepreneurship, and I'm here to make some money. But when he said, I bet you're never gonna come back to this garage again, I left with the mindset of, he right. I'm never gonna come back to this garage again. So I did. I went back to the drawing board. I leaned on the safety net, like, Dad, can I borrow a couple of dollars or whatever? And I did. I just went back to like training people like on my own, making that money. I'm pretty sure there's people here that like paid me $20, $30. Where Max at? Big Max definitely looked out, came out and worked out with me to just keep me afloat. So yeah, those were two signs. So in regards to entrepreneurship, man, you got to pay attention to the signs. You seize opportunities, but the signs are all around us, man. And with following your passions, you definitely have to pay attention to what's around you. But yeah, that was an interesting time in regards to entrepreneurship, and I'm thankful for those times.
Okay, perfect. Well, aside from what Adrian does and has done in business, he had a life also. And so I'm going to get a little bit more personal because, God, I've known you a long time, haven't I? You've been through a lot. But he got married. He got divorced. He had a kid. All of it happened pretty fast. And I'm like, what? Where did that come from? And so I'm going to let you talk about that story.
I'm gonna give the short version, but long. So I was visiting a client in Irvine, California, and can't believe I'm telling this. Well, I wrote about it in Dark Horse, the story about the edible. So, all right, so Pete. So November 8th, I had the time of my life. Jay Prince invited me to Jay-Z concert. Jay-Z performed 444 here in Dallas. We went out. I had the time of my life, and I remember Asia was mad. My ex-wife, Ace's mom name is Asia. I'm like, listen, Jay Prince has invited me to a concert, but he only got one ticket. so
Hence divorced.
Yo, I had the time of my life. I didn't care who was with me. I stood up and sung every song. I was hyped. That was November 8th. November 9th, there was this fighter, Daniel Franco. Ironically, he fought under Rock Nation, and he had a brain injury in the ring, and the insurance was so low that Daniel almost died. Because Rock Nation didn't help him take care of anything. So I flew out to Rancho Cucamonga, California, to meet with Daniel. I wanted to meet with him and see how I could help and how we can get the message out. The way he hugged me when I was getting ready to leave, it was a weird hug because it was our first time meeting. I met his dad, but he gave me this strong embrace, man. He was like, man, just be well on your journey. You 22, you mean be well on my journey? That sounds something like an old person would say. But I ended up leaving, man. I ended up linking up with one of my friends that was playing for the Los Angeles Chargers at the time. Went back to his apartment, and I don't smoke, I don't do edibles, but we were having a good time. So until then, I had this edible, and I'm gonna get to the whole marriage part, but this is the start of it. took this edible, and I didn't know really what I was taking, to be honest with you. I just took it. His teammate was there. My homegirl was there. It was cool. I had a really bad trip. The edibles were laced with mushrooms. And I had this other personal situation that was going on that totally blew the high, and everything was just all negative. But I ended up getting hit by a car that night, like on foot. Crazy situation that I'm gonna leave. But I ended up running across the street, and I got blindsided by this car. I remember my mama got to the hospital, and it's like, wait till your damn 30s to end up in BS like this. It's like, if I got hit by a car, like, you have more compassion right now. But I did. I think I bruised like a rib, sternum. I fractured my finger. It was bad. And my mom and Asia were there. And that was November 9th. And I think there was a fight that was going on, because I remember telling EJ about possibly getting married or buying a ring or something of that nature. But I ended up getting engaged. I didn't talk to anybody. And I tell my boys everything. I didn't tell anybody that I was getting engaged. I think I told EJ about the ring, but I didn't tell him I was getting engaged or whatever. We flew out to Manhattan Beach, California. I proposed on the beach. Everybody saw it on Instagram. A lot of people were probably thinking, like, what is this? And we got married 3 months later, and things hit the fan, and she was pregnant. Just things happened extremely, extremely fast, and we ended up getting divorced. And Asia was my best friend, my best female friend by far. And I've just gotten back to the place, probably after divorce behavior, where it's like, okay, I'm healed from that situation. It took a while. It took years, because it's like, it's your best friends, the person that we were friends 10 years before we became intimate, like, with each other. So it was extremely difficult coming to terms with, all right, my best friend is gone. She's still here. I see her every day, but she's gone. And that was a lot. And writing the book, I thought that completely healed me, but it didn't. It didn't completely heal me. It was just to help out a lot of men. So I wrote Divorce Behavior for Men, because I'm on this thing where if I go through something, I feel like probably a lot of other people have either went through it or will go through it. So let me kind of write the manual or the book for them to, and even Mike gave me the best bit of advice going through the divorce. And it was like, mind your damn business. I remember we either sat in my Jeep or we were on the phone, and you told me that what she does on social media, who she's with, that's none of your business. Keep it that way. That really helped me move forward in regards to healing from the divorce. But divorce behavior was powerful, but where I really healed that was when I did the comedy show. I did Divorce Behavior Unplugged at the Granada Theater up the street, and I'm not funny at all, but I put together this 1 hour set, and I rehearsed by myself. I didn't rehearse in front of people. I rehearsed at the house, and I paced in a circle, and I timed myself. And every time I hit around the 106, 109, but I'm like, I'm doing this. This is the final part of the healing process, and I'm going to stand in front of people, and I'm going to be vulnerable, and I'm going to tell them about my hurt, about me crying, about me being sad, about me being confused. I'm going to say these words that I never said out loud really to anybody, and I'm going to make fun of divorce. I'm going to make fun of the things that we went through, and I'm going to make fun of the thoughts. Like, one of the things I talked about, and not trying to be funny, but the first time I saw her with someone else, like when the divorce was over with, I was sitting in the car, and she didn't see me, but I watched the interaction. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, bro, I should get out the car and like fight dude or whatever it may be. That was my first thought, fight dude. But I brought humor into it, and that's, for anybody that's either going through it or will go through it, humor, like making fun of things that are serious, making fun of, all right, I'm gonna get out this car and I'm gonna go fight dude, I'm gonna beat his ass or whatever. But it can go the other way. You can get out the car, he whoop your ass, and then women are funny. So imagine me trying to, like, if I have an argument with her or I'm trying to start something, and she'd be like, oh, like, should we call such and such to come help us out with the situation? I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just sit in this car, and this is part of, like Mike said, mind your business. But I I hate that we went through it, but I'm glad that I went through it because I did. I got to realize that I was broken inside. And I talked about at the show, there's a lot of broken men like walking around here, man, because we don't say the things that, we're sad, that we're lonely. We don't talk about those things that are just super vulnerable. And I needed that to happen for me to like piece myself back together again and heal. And that's why I'm able to like do the show and sit in front of people and talk about things that I probably wouldn't talk about otherwise. So sorry for the long-winded response, but divorce behavior was very, I think it's going to just only grow. I'm probably going to do a second edition of it, and then I'm probably going to do another show because I'm getting comfortable being on stage and performing in front of people. But divorce behavior, we really have something with divorce behavior, and I think we're going to tap into it probably later this year or next year, but it was a lot for me to get.
I might have to do the women's version of that then, because so maybe we'll collaborate. But I think you said some key words there too: vulnerability, and so often we are afraid to show our vulnerability because we wear this mask. We want people to see us one way, when really what's going on inside is totally different. And one thing I love about Adrian is that he is transparent. Every lesson he has learned, he's willing to share and be vulnerable and to let other people see his bruises, his scars, his dark side, his hurts, his pain. And that is powerful when you become open enough and okay with yourself enough that you stop thinking about what other people think about you. What are people going to say if I tell them this? If I expose myself? We're so busy trying to mask when really nobody cares. At the end of the day, folks, they don't. They're going to talk about you whether you're very successful or whether you're rock bottom. No matter what, people are going to have their opinions about you. So don't live your life trying to impress other people with what you think they want to see, because it's usually not true. Which kind of leads me to one of the things that we continually, there's a thread that goes throughout our conversations. And maybe this comes from my coaching, I don't know, it may just come from life, but we make up so many stories. Most of the things you react to, they are not based on fact. And so Adrian, whenever he come to me with this person, that, and this happened, and yeah, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do, he'd just go on and on. I just listen. And then I go, now, what part of that is fact and what part of that is a story you made up? I asked you this just recently, didn't I? He called me about a situation. I said, okay. So what part of that is fact and what part of that is a story? And usually, and you can check yourself on this, but probably 80% of it is your story. Because we make up stuff when we don't have all the facts and details. And that takes you off on a path and you react in a way that is not going to serve you well in the end. And it's definitely not going to help build relationships. So I don't know. Lessons. He now listens before he just goes off on one of those.
No, I've gotten better. Now
You have gotten a lot better.
It's about asking the right questions, and I'm cool with being confrontational, but also just you got to put the pride aside, man. Put the pride aside and just sit down and either you leave it alone completely, and it's like it's not a thing at all. It's whatever. I don't like the saying it is what it is, but that's what it becomes. But no, I used to make up a lot of stories in my head. And, you guys, if y'all watch Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, they talked about how something happened, but it didn't really happen. He told the story in his head. Now, sometimes it works to your benefit, sometimes. But for the most part, no, man, it really doesn't, because you either make yourself more mad or you make the situation way more than what it really is. But it's you doing it because you're making up the story in your head about, they probably were thinking this and they probably meant that. And like, no, really, they probably didn't, especially if you didn't ask them or you guys didn't talk about it or whatever. But I used to do it a lot. But now I just, I try to focus on asking the right questions to someone if there's a situation. I called her recently. We had a fight, and Jolene's like my work wife. She didn't make this trip. But she travels a lot. I send her out on a lot of trips, a lot of fights. But I was making up a story in my head. But before I really got deep into the story, I called Rita, and again she was like, how much of that is like true, and how much of it is you make up in your head? And I did. I made up the story. And once I sat down with Jolene and asked her, like, what was the situation, it immediately clicked when she gave me her response. And I was like, damn, I really made up the story in my head about what it was. And it wasn't that. She had to make a decision in the moment. And honestly, the decision that she made was the right one, because when I was managing, there were plenty of situations to where I had to make a decision right there. And it was what it was. So, yeah, but it's about asking the right questions. But I haven't mastered it. You've mastered it. I haven't mastered it completely, because I still make up some good stories in my head about what somebody is possibly doing or saying or thinking. But for the most part, I've gotten better at asking the right questions and then kind of just going from there.
And it comes with practice and maturity. So you talk about all those old people. As you get older, you get wiser, hopefully. So, what's next for you? Where are you going? What's the vision going from this point?
I'm really just embracing. I'm really in my creative bag. I don't. Does anybody here have a CD player in their car? Anybody? Raise it. Show a hand. All right, Scott. All right, okay. You got a CD player. But I did. I love nostalgia. So I thought, you know what? The CD's blank, by the way. So if you get in your car and you think some songs will come off that CD, it's not. It's just. It's like paraphernalia, man. It's something for you to keep. But I did. The album came out today. I'm not a rapper, but I am a rapper, clearly, because I put out somewhat of a rap album. But I'm really in my creative bag, and I'm having fun. One of my Busta Rhymes had a freestyle, and he was like, to tell the truth, I'm at the point I'm having fun with this shit. And that's where I'm at, man. I'm really just having fun. And me and EJ, we sat on his ranch the other day, and we don't really talk about boxing much. We just talked about life, man. And I think we're both at a point just of peace and just kind of like freedom. But album came out. I'm going to Panama in October because we're going to have a Latin version of Protect Yourself at All Times book come out, and they're going to debut it in Panama City. So I'm definitely going to get back on stage again, but it's going to be more creative things that take me totally outside of the CEO. It's going to be not necessarily acting, but just whatever comes to mind and it makes sense. And I can see it either servicing a need or helping people, or it's a passion project. Then that's exactly what I'm going to do. But
Well, he's living my mantra of no missed opportunities, no regrets. Too many people go to on their deathbed going, God, I wish I had. I wonder what would happen if I had made a different decision. And it's like, don't do that. This life is too short. It's that dash. And you got to live it every moment. You got to live it afraid. You got to live it joyfully. You got to live it gratefully. All those things. Live your life every day. I've had opportunities beyond. I mean, I think maybe what attracted me to Adrian is I saw a lot of myself because I took those same kind of risks. I just went for it. I've traveled to 43 countries. I'm like the little ghetto girl from East St. Louis. It's like, who would have ever thought? But I had a dream. I had a big dream. It's like, gosh, these places in these magazines and on TV, people go to Hawaii. I can go there. And my mother never said I couldn't. She was like, okay, you think you can go? Go. And so in my mind, there were no limits. And I'm a child of the 60s when there were a lot of limits. But it's really what you think. It's what you think. And how I thought about that and how you approach it, people believe it. Fake it till you make it, do whatever you got to do, but just go for it. Because life is too short.
Yeah, me and Derek talk in delusion. At first, like even now, and Derek just told me this the other day, thinking about where I'm at right now in life, rewind back 20 years, and if I was thinking, based off of our conversation, Derek and I thought about this guy from New Orleans, and at one point in life, he probably was sitting in the living room talking to one of his boys, and he probably was like, "Say, Woody, I'm gonna get, say, Woody, I'm gonna get this musician off the ground, man, and I'm gonna put everybody on. I'm gonna put Silk on. I'm gonna put C on. I'm gonna put me on. I'm gonna put everybody on, and from that, I'm gonna do movies, and then I'm gonna write books, and then I'm gonna play in the NBA." And you hearing it, it's like, please, you gonna play? But Master P, literally, it's like, it's funny. Dude had his own shoe. He played in the NBA. He had one of the most successful, lucrative record companies, books, you name it. He did it, but I'm pretty sure that conversation started somewhere. And probably somebody laughed at him like that's delusional. You're not thinking straight. So even with myself, I grew up, even though people now, you say Puff Daddy's name, it's kind of like, but seeing Puffy, notice I said Puffy, not Diddy, seeing Puffy, seeing Suge, seeing Russell Simmons, you see a mixture between guys behind the scenes, but then guys also out front, and then seeing Master P, someone that was from the South, you get that mindset of, okay, well, I'm seeing it, so it's feasible. It may be delusional to think it, but I can get there.
You're only limited by your own thoughts.
Yeah,
truly. Nobody else limits you but your own thoughts. I was looking, and I think I sent it to you, but LeBron James.
Right.
Great. No college education, came from, a place where, never would have thought he would be successful. And he has gone on to do a lot of those same kind of things, and now he's just at a point where I'm going to leave at the peak, I get to choose. And he's a great family man. He's still with his high school sweetheart. I mean, and it just, you get to decide. You get to decide. And, I was thinking about your divorce, but one thing and blessing that came out of that was Ace. And I watched this man become a father and how he has embraced that. And you are a model father. You really are. I mean, and your son is going to appreciate that one day.
Yeah, he was really mad. Thank you. Yeah, he was really upset that he couldn't be here.
He's usually here.
No, he wanted to come, but just scheduling and then he would have been probably on stage.
Of course, he's become quite the celebrity.
That's definitely that was a transition, and I see where you can go both ways, and it's about routine because I'm trying to sell the company, I'm trying to do all these things, but it's not about the money, it's about the time, spending the time. My dad was always there. From when we were living in St. Regis to when we moved to the house, dude was always there. It was no traveling job to where he went out of town, or always there. Literally always there for everything. Everything. So that's my example, like to always be there. So okay, we got divorced, that's cool, but keeping that routine to always be there, to go pick them up. I even pulled a Kanye West. They moved to Colleyville. I'm moving to Colleyville too. I moved 4 miles away from them, so I'm not gonna lose in regards to that. And me and Johnny, we cherish our kids, so we always have back and forth conversations via phone about his schedule is just as busy as mine. He's an NBA coach, but him having that mindset to always be present, to always be there. The phone calls are scheduled. He's like, "I'm gonna call you back, bro." Like that's the way it's supposed to be. But I'm having fun and taking a page from my dad's book. Even though you guys see the videos of football, and I don't want him to do boxing at all, but he's around it. He gets to go to Derek's gym, and I just took him to Wild Card Gym. He's been around EJ and all these other different great fighters, so it's gonna be a part of him. But unless he's just damn good, we're not choosing.
Oh, you're still having flashbacks from that knockout.
Probably so. Yo, no, I don't want to, because my parents were not there to see that knockout. So I don't know how they would have reacted by seeing that, but I know I would go to pieces if somebody knocked out my son, and I see it. But my dad allowed us to grow up. My parents just allowed us to grow up in general, to where there was curfews. We had to be in front of the house, but they really just let us live. And that's what I'm doing with Ace. I don't care if he plays sports or not. I would prefer he actually go the legal route and become a lawyer, maybe. But I'm not gonna force him in any directions. Man, long as you do something, whatever you want to do. But fatherhood definitely changed everything about my life, and the time I used to have certain conversations with people or I don't do that anymore. I would rather be at home. Me and Jay talk about this. I would rather be at home with my kids, with my son, than to be doing anything else. And that's what I do. And it's a beautiful thing. So I'm glad they became grandparents. I think for a bit they thought they would never become grandparents. So it's good that they actually were able to experience that. So
Grandparenting is really good. I've got my 4 grands here, and they're all stand up. I want to show you all. Stand up, grands. Come on, stand up. Come on, stand up. Don't be bashful. 2 boys, 2 girls, 1 son. He got busy. But yeah. Well, I think as we're kind of nearing, I don't know if there's anything else you want, but I thought maybe we give the folks out here an opportunity to maybe ask you questions, or if there's something that they want to know before they leave tonight.
Can I borrow your microphone? Can they just yell out the question? It's your show. So. Mm-hmm. Anybody? First question? Anybody? Oh shit! My mama got it. Oh. Everybody, my mother.
Hey, Mom.
You don't have to stand up. I can see you just. See you just fine. You don't have to stand up.
My question is this for you, for Derek, for Jay, and all the others that you guys have made. What advice would you give other young people that look at you guys now on how they need to make it or would try to make it? Because a lot of people in here that you guys have really, God has blessed you, and you guys have really done good. I can see Derek in the back, DJ here. You guys are making it. So what advice would you tell other people, young people, whether they are female or male, on what to do to get to where they need to be? I've heard a lot of good words tonight, but they want to not only hear it, but want to see it. What can you tell them?
Good question, baby. Call my mama baby. So good question, baby. I would say Jay-Z has a line, just the top layer, man, you was who you was before you got here. Just know who you are. Like, be centered in self and know who you are before you get to wherever it is that you're going, before any of the money or the fame or any of that. Just like know who you are, know likes, dislikes, even though those things will change or evolve or grow, but be centered in self and be comfortable in self and know who you are before you get to wherever it is that you're going in life. I can say, hard work, dedication. I can give all those words, and to me, those are kind of cliche, but to me, it's really important to know who you are, know who you truly are, and be comfortable in self and not try to live for social media or live for your friends or anybody else. Be comfortable in who you are, and things will fall into place from there.
That's good.
Anybody? Oh, I see you.
Yeah, I have a question. All right. So,
State your name, sir. What's your name, sir?
my name is Chris. So you've learned perseverance by getting knocked out a lot. Would you say that's correct?
That's why you just can't give anybody the microphone. Yeah, I learned something from getting knocked out. Like I did your brother when we was younger.
He's not here. So
Yeah, he's not. You should have got those punches, but we'll talk about that some other time.
I'm asking the question. So, could you explain the process of allowing yourself to be vulnerable when you were making the album and just like they say now, say the quiet things out loud?
Man, that's a good question. Man, it was honestly, it was the cry. The cry, me being honest with myself was like the start, because I was making up a story in my head and I was like lying to myself about, I don't give a F, like whatever, like she can go, the bravado, that toughness, but me lying to myself, that was the start. Me being honest, all right, I am hurt. I am feeling something that I've never felt before. I'm sad, I'm lonely. I was able to say those things out loud, but man, the cry is what really, I was on the phone. I told the story at the show, Divorce Behavior. I was on the phone, I was watching Ozark, and I went upstairs and something kept telling me, call Jay, Jay Prince, call Jay. And because him and I had talked about the whole divorce situation, someone told me just to call him. And I cold called this man, and I was talking to him, and I was like, man, I ain't on that crying shit, man. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm going through this, but you know what I'm saying, I'm too big of a dude to cry. And he explained to me, because I was saying, I ain't no punk. That was the main thing. And I ain't no punk. I ain't gonna cry over no female. That was what I said. He asked me, you think you a punk? You know what I'm saying? Because you cry or whatever. He was like, bro, you're foolish if you think that you're a punk because, you know what I'm saying, you cry. He was like, man, crying is cleansing. And he went on this whole spiel. And, Jay talked kind of slow, so the explanation kind of draw it out. I'm hearing him. I'm hearing this elder advice, but we hang up the phone. Like, I'm not crying. I don't care what he's talking about. And I was sitting there, man, and I kid you not, I'm not making this up. I was sitting there, and it's just silence. That sound right there that's all I heard in the house. And the cry like forced itself out of me. I remember trying to like lock up, and the cry started with this yell. I can't even reenact the yell it was. It was like a war cry. And before I knew it, man, I was just bawling, crying. And I joked about, I sat up and cried because I'm like, bro, if you lay down and cry, your thumb go in your mouth, you're in the fetal position crying, like, bro, like, I'm not doing that. But I did, man. I cried so hard that night. And it was maybe like 5 minutes, man. It was the first time I really cried in a while. And I remember standing up, and I felt refreshed. I felt new. I went upstairs, and I had the best night of sleep in my life, man. So it starts with being honest with yourself. Answer your question directly. It starts with being honest with yourself first. And man, you got to get that cry out. I know it sounds weird to say that, but bro, that cry was really cleansing, and it reset some things for me, and I was able to move forward like amicably based off of that cry. But good question, see, really good question. Who you pass the mic to? Dr. Light.
All right. How do you deal with non-believers?
Non-believers. Good question. To be honest,
Family and friends.
I think you should really like embrace people not seeing what you see. You can kind of embrace it. Even I don't really look at it as negative. It's just somebody just can't see what you see in regards to your vision. So if you tell them what you're thinking or what you want to do, but they say, oh, man, this shit ain't never going to work, or why are you thinking that? Or the jokes, like a lot of truth or how someone feels comes in joke form to where they'll joke about it, but they really like, you can't do it. But you should really just embrace it, to be honest with you, because that's what comes with life, man. You can be killing it and everything can be up, but yeah, you can take a loss or something happen, or you deal with as you go higher and you're more recognizable. Everyone doesn't like these books. I got somebody put 1 star on Amazon with a couple books, and they went in on the description. I'm like, damn. But the humor side of it, but I embrace it, man. I'm not afraid of being laughed at. Like, you guys heard the album today. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all was like, just trying to rap. It's cool. I'm not trying to rap. I did rap. I put together an album. I went to the studio 5-6 times to like hone the craft. Laugh at me. It's cool, but it's funny on both ends, because it's funny also You know, you either get paid or you make some success. And
Yeah, laugh at me now. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes both ways. But no, you embrace. I embrace people either not seeing the vision or one star negative things. I embrace it, bro. It's all good from my standpoint. Who you pass the mic to? Anybody?
On your first show, you mentioned that you are not open to psychology. You have a coach sitting next to you, so I'm wondering how that dynamic works.
So when I got divorced, I didn't go see a therapist. I didn't go see anybody. I talked to myself a lot, and there were a lot of private conversations that I did openly. Now I may have vented to a lot of people on either how I was feeling or whatever, just going over the situation, but I didn't pay anybody to help me out with mine. It wasn't a situation where she sat me down to tell me how to get through. Honestly, I had to go through that myself, and it wasn't what someone was going to tell me. It's what I needed to experience to help other people out. So for me, and I'm not bragging that you don't need therapists. You need to talk to somebody, and sometimes the therapist is not licensed. Sometimes the therapist is a close friend, or sometimes the therapist is a stranger, somebody you meet that you are vulnerable with and say some things to, and they give you something that can really help you out. That's why I don't like the saying, don't listen to people that are not in your position. Or we don't know where they used to be. So I do value at times. Now, certain situations, I'm like, I'm not taking that advice, but we've all been on both sides to where a person that failed or they lost everything or they're in a bad position, but they were once in a good position, they can tell you some things about what you should do. They may not be where you're at financially or status-wise, but they can tell you something that can help you out. So I'm not saying that you should not go see a therapist. It's just for divorce, I needed to go through that myself. I needed to heal myself. And I'm not gonna say I recommend it to everybody, but it's something I'm glad that I did, and it produced divorce behavior to help out people who may not can afford to see a therapist or scared to. It can really help them out. Good question though, Myra. Right, where you at?
Hey Adrian,
Hey.
I have a question about commitment, what my grandma was saying earlier. So you talked about your early struggles in entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
Entrepreneurship.
Yep.
And I was just wondering, and it's a two-part question. So I was wondering what kept you committed when you were first starting and you first met your struggles, and then as your career path kind of changed, as you found success and your ambitions maybe have changed as well, what is now keeping you committed?
Good question, right? In my private thoughts, I always had this mindset of like me on television and me in magazines and me doing all these things that I saw. My principal from elementary school, Dr. James Reed, like he was in Jet magazine, and that was the coolest thing to me as a kid. Like this dude, he was one of the most eligible bachelors or something like that in Jet magazine. He had it in his office, and I was in like the fourth grade, and I remember seeing that. And then I also remember seeing him on TV commercials as a kid. You know, it'd come on late at night, and you would see him come across the screen, and that shit was so cool to me that someone that I knew was like known or whatever, and I would see him on everyday basis. So that's what really kept like me going, even when things were bad. I just always had that private thought of me in a magazine or me on TV in a commercial or whatever. So even though I took time to quit, it's like, I'm not doing this no more, forget this, I need the money. The signs brought me back, but also what was in my mind brought me back. And what keeps me going despite success or money, whatever it may be, now it's what learn, earn, and return. That's something that David Basha taught to me. David Basha created Fighters First and saw me out and brought me on as CEO of Fighters First, but he sat me down and talked to me about learn, earn, and return. First, you learn the craft. You learn what you want to do. And then you hone it, you practice it so well to where you're able to earn from it. So you learn, then you earn the money from it, and you're able to create certain things and help certain people out with what you earn. And then it's the return stage to where you're returning the knowledge, you're returning through investing or philanthropy or any of those things. So what keeps me going now is just I love helping people, and I love being a guy that someone can call. I'm like a vault essentially, to where you can talk to me and I can help you out with certain things. And then I don't take myself that seriously to where I'm scared or timid because I don't want to taint someone's image of me. So I'm like, I'm not gonna do that because I don't want them to think I don't care what you think, to be honest with you. It's not my business, as Mike told me. It's not my business what you think or what your opinion is. So I love helping people, and I'm really just having fun at this point. But I think I answered both parts of that question. So yeah. Who's that? Where you at? Oh, okay. What's up, Mike?
So I have a two-part question as well. So in knowing you and listening to you talk tonight, you express the importance of relationships and connections. You know, you've seen the whole level of how it goes. So, you know, why is that important to you? And the second part of the question, which is a little personal, but you want to be vulnerable as you express. I too am a divorcee, and I went through a lot of the things that you went through. But, you know, on the positive side, you know, my ex is here, and I have a great relationship with her. You know, after we got through the rocky road period, it was quick and dirty, but, you know, we kept it together, and we have beautiful kids that we co-raised together. So, you know, I speak on that is, you know, because you had to really talk about your relationship.
Gotcha. First part, you know what, I'm gonna answer that part right now about that. That was a stretch where I just strongly disliked Asia, but it goes back to making up a story in my head. I literally forgot how much she did for me to get me to where I was at. Like, there was a point, I talk about, you know, taking the quarters from my dad's drawer to get gas. Man, there were times where I couldn't help out on the rent with Asia, and she was holding down the household. She barely getting bigger with Ace, and her texting me, you know, can you help out this month? I couldn't help out with the rent. There was one time she was pregnant, and it broke my heart, man. I cried in the parking lot. She wanted it was 4th of July, and she wanted the red, white, and blue, like, bomb pops. And I went to the store, and I didn't have enough. I never asked Asia for money. This is me really being vulnerable. I used to wait till she went to sleep because I needed gas in the car. So it went from taking quarters from my dad to where I would take her car to go put gas in my car just so I can, like, get around or whatever. But I didn't have enough damn money, man, to get her the bomb pops. And that wasn't the bad part. But I remember calling her and was like, because they had them in the store, but I just didn't have money to get them. And I remember calling her, and I'm like, yo, they don't have any more or whatever. And she was like, it's okay, just come home, like, we'll figure it out. And I remember just sitting there like, damn, I ain't got enough money to, like, get her the ice cream, like, from the store. I had to remind myself of those moments, man. And, like, aside from her pushing out Ace, I had to remind myself that she believed in all of this. Like, before really anybody, she believed in all of this. Part I moved back home, and, you know, she would come over and stay the night. And so Paul was like, yo, can't have this shit, you too old to be. Like, so she got an apartment, you know what I'm saying? She got an apartment so I can have that space to create and build up, man. So I had to remind myself of how dynamic Asia was for me. It took a moment. It took a while, of course, because I was the animosity of what didn't happen or what did happen or whatever. I had to really remind myself, like, bruh, Asia looked out for me like nobody else aside from my mama. So me and Asia cool now. I can really say, like, yo, Asia, we talk, we laugh, we make jokes at each other now. You know, she's remarried. Her husband's my guy. He was gonna come tonight, but he got busy. But Rodney's my dude. I can say that openly. Like, bro, I'd rather hang out with him and talk to him than her. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just we're really in in a good spot, and it's good for Ace to see, because he used to see. It was a deprogramming process for like a month straight. I didn't say nothing to Asia. I didn't look at her, but it was like fresh. So I would go knock on the door to pick up Ace. I'd knock on the door, I'd be looking away, she'll open the door, she'll say good morning. She'd get Ace, she was like, oh, what you guys got planned today? I would just walk off. Come back to drop him off, I'd knock on the door, she'll open the door, I'll put him inside, walk away for a month straight. And I'm told myself, this is helping me deprogram. But I noticed Ace started to pick it up to where he will walk past her going in the house. Like little things. I told my mom about it, and she was, but now Asia is like, that's my homie, man. And she did so much for me. I wish she could have came tonight. But I shout her out on my album because she's one of the most creative artists I've ever seen before in my life, man. But I still got mad love for Asia, and I'm happy that she's happy with life, and I mean that genuinely. I forgot your first question because I went off on a tangent talking about her. Business relationships, personal relationships. Man, the village is here. Like you look around this room, man. Like I see my boys back there. I see G back there. G is one of the first entrepreneurs I saw. He cuts my hair, so my beard always looks so good and sparkly because my man sitting back there in that white shirt. But I seen G go from working at a barbershop to owning his own barbershop. Then secretly, he bought a new barbershop, state of the art. He didn't tell nobody, and it's just crazy. So the village is here, man. There's so many people here. Point you out, Johnny Bryant sitting right in the front. We met each other in Utah. He had Bryant Sports Academy. I think you were balancing Bryant Sports Academy and working at Enterprise, if I'm not mistaken. Bruh, we become friends. I remember I was trying to sign Tony Mitchell, and my plan was, all right, I'm going to sign Tony Mitchell for the 2013 draft. I was in Utah to visit Johnny to watch him work out Paul Millsap and his brothers. And the plan was, Tony's going to sign with me, work out with Johnny to get ready for the draft. We at the Utah Jazz facility, and he's working out the Millsap brothers, and Marvin Williams had just got traded to the Jazz, and Marvin was the second pick in 2005 draft. He came up to me in the workout, introduced himself, and I remember him asking, he was like, yo, like who that down there? And I'm like, oh man, that's Johnny Bryant, man. He works out, he played at the University of Utah. Me and Johnny leaving the facility. I'm like, yo, man, Marv asked about you. And Johnny, again, seizing the opportunity, he heard something. Like, we were supposed to go eat lunch. I think he had a class. He went back inside. Johnny is now the associate head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was just the associate head coach of the New York Knicks. He'll be 39 this week coming up. Yeah. So the village is here, man. Everybody here. I saw Derek here, EJ here. There's just so many great people, man, that I got to experience along the journey that pulled me to be a part of either their career or vice versa, man. So I'm thankful to be in this place of fellowship, and I hope that things that we talked about tonight can help someone. I talked about Noe earlier. There's just so many young people here that I hope that these words and the people that you'll meet tonight before you leave can inspire you and motivate you moving forward on your journey, because again, it starts with the people that are around you and seizing those opportunities, man. So great question though, Mike, but the village is here, and these people are important, and your mom, what she's been to me, took me to another level. I told your kids that in New York, like, bro, I thought I was good before I met Rita Bailey, but I think I can say I'm damn good now based off of what this woman has taught me, man. So the village is here. I'm not gonna go talk about my parents because we'll be here for another hour talking about that. But the entrepreneur and the creative guy or whatever you see in me, it comes from these two people sitting here. They make the perfect entrepreneur. My mom is the talker. She just won't stop talking. But my dad, he don't say nothing. But he the workhorse though. Like, he's the one, like, as far as the work ethic go, can't nobody in this room outwork him, probably besides me. But he's the workhorse, man. So I get it from them, and it's special. But also everybody is. Great question though, Mike. We can do one more, and I said I was gonna get y'all out of here by 9:30.
Okay. So I only had the pleasure of meeting you once in New York, but the question I have is, when you, in the story, the journey of what got you to this point here, when you brought up, when you got your, I guess it would be your first big break when your company got acquired, and you finally got your salary, you got a little bit of income coming your way. What were the next couple set of decisions that you made, whether it be personal or to further yourself on your ambitions and goals?
I probably blew it. probably blew the money and I mismanaged it. I mean, honestly, your first time
Did you buy a car? You went out and bought a car.
Did I? I did. The Jeep. I did. I bought the Jeep. But I bought the Jeep because of Ace, because I had the Camaro. So I justified that by I bought the Jeep because of Ace. But that was a turning point in my life because, okay, I did. I sold the company and it got acquired and now I have steady income and I'm doing okay, but got divorced. So, splitting finances wasn't that. It was, okay, she moved out, now I have to take over the rent, and it was still a lot. So it wasn't this, I didn't win the Super Bowl or win my first championship and it's like I'll ride off into the sunset. It wasn't that. It's a learning experience. And even with recently with Protect Yourself at All Times, like selling like a majority stake of it, the money is not right. That's, and again, something on the ranch we talked about a couple weeks ago. I mean, the money just, I think we said it wasn't real. It's real, but that's not the aha moment or the Super Bowl winning moment, bro. It's the experiences, to be honest with you. And I find more joy in helping people and creating than like making a certain amount of money. I think at one point when you don't have it, you really believe that once I get this amount of money, bro, like it's gonna be up. And nah, it's more so you don't want nobody to know that you have any money, and the stuff that you said that you were gonna do, you really don't do. You kind of just sit at home. So I'm really just like, what I do, Mike? What I do? What I do?
It's my turn to refresh your memory. Because one of the first things you did when you came into all that money was you paid my bill.
Hey, you're right. Hey, you're right. Mike is so patient because it's like months went in between. It probably was damn near a year where I didn't pay, I couldn't pay, but once I came into it, I did. I looked out. Hey, I'm never on time in regards to things I have to do, but I always come through with what I said I was going to do. It takes me a little bit to get there, so just have patience with you, boy. Appreciate that. I'm always gonna make it through. It's gonna take some time. But appreciate you reminding me of that. Appreciate that. One more for the road. One more question for the road.
My God.
Hold, before you get started, did you bring it with you?
I have it.
So can I bring you up?
I don't have it on me.
Yo, stand
up real fast. All right.
So, anybody here Oklahoma Sooner fan? Baltimore Raven fan? Oklahoma Sooner royalty, legend, Mark Clayton. But forget the football player for a second. He ended up getting drafted first round by the Baltimore Ravens, right? In regards to IT and tech, the headphones that he has, that he created himself. And I'm talking about the first model. I'm not talking about the model right now. I'm talking about the first model. You had this first model, the ones that went around your ears. This dude is next level smart. You may see the highlights from OU and from Baltimore and St. Louis, but sitting down with him and talking tech and talking headphones and then actually hearing what he created, I forget about the football player. Mark Clayton is next level in regards to IT. My bad, bro, for the question, but respect.
So learn, earn, return. The question is, do you have anything philanthropic in place or coming in regards to returns?
I think protect yourself at all times in regards to me, more so foundation, because it's about the fighters. And regardless of my creations or whatever, and Rita touched on this upstairs, I don't want to get away from the why, essentially. And the why is to provide enough education and provide enough resources for the fighters, but I have to catch them young. And I feel like, I tried to touch the professional boxers, but their minds were already conditioned based off of their going through the amateur experience. So I feel like protect yourself at all times as like a foundation or something that can help with fighters having the education all around the world that prepare them for the professional ranks. That's where I see the money and the time and the efforts going to where I can really focus in on that. I feel like I don't half-assing it is the right word. I feel like I've been half-assing it the past couple of years where I'm just whatever I think of, I'm doing it, but I'm not really focusing on those young fighters that are gonna come up through the ranks, whether they're gonna be fighters or managers or trainers or whatever. That's where the real return is gonna be for me going forward. But Mark is next level, man. I wish you would have brought in those headphones that you played for me that you brought to my house. But just as impressive as you was on the field, bro, and I'm not just saying this because you're here, just as impressive as you was on the field, just sitting and talking to you about tech and your vision and where you see things going and how you're sticking with it also, bro, that I ain't gonna say trumps what you did on the field. It's impressive, but what you're doing, man, I'm here to help however I can, bro. Straight up. Love you too, bro.
Well, one more thing. When Mike introduced me, he said I was CEO of our family business. And a few years back, we decided that, along the lines of what we're talking about, the young people, I've been very successful in my career and I've had a lot of opportunities. And I thought, but when I stop, that stops. What's the legacy? I'm at that legacy stage of what do you want to leave behind? What did it matter that you were here? And so we decided we'd start a family business, which is what my driver is, because Lord knows I didn't need to start another business. But not only did I want to expose them to entrepreneurism and what it takes to start and run a business, but I wanted them to be involved in it. And it also, the intent is to create that family wealth, because in a lot of communities, we don't have that. We don't pass it on to our kids. They make a little money and they go out and buy stuff. And this is about building something that is beyond yourself. And so we started this, and they've all been involved in it. And we want to close out the evening. It's called Boxages, and it's a gift box company. And we thought everybody likes to get a gift, right? But we do custom boxes, and we did a custom box for Adrian, and I'd like for them to bring it up and present it to you.
I appreciate that.
There you go, my good sir.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
Appreciate you. Do I open it or do
Sure, open it. Yeah, show it off. It's something. And it's really relevant. You'll see it. We call it our time box. And what we've been talking about is so relevant to what this box represents because it's about time. Because time is a gift. And so what it says on the front is, time is a precious gift. Use it wisely and cherish every moment. And I think that's what Adrian has demonstrated so well. Has his name on it, and then inside it has a little message as well. You can just read it.
Past is history, the future is a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. It's really dope. Yeah. That's really dope. A lot of y'all afraid to read in front of people. You see how I just did that? I can stand up and read in front of the class with no problem. No, thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for this. This has been a beautiful evening. Time is a precious gift. It really is. Thank you guys. Thank everybody for coming out. Thank you, Rita, for doing this. I owe you a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you. Got your payday before me.
Yeah, I owe you
And
a
mom
lot
and dad are still waiting. So yeah. Anyway,
I
we'll
took
be
pops
around.
I took pops to the finals. I took him to the NBA
Oh,
finals,
okay.
and then Mama get to go on all the trips now.
Yeah, he reminds you.
I'm not married, so Mom get to go on all the trips now. So if I get with somebody later on, Mama can't go on the trips no more. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I actually
I would do nothing to take away mom's trips. Okay.
no. She's good. The cards. Don't throw away the cards. The trading cards. If you got trading cards, don't throw. Where's Brandon Peterson? Stand up, B. B's my best friend growing up, man. We came up together in the Grove. Trading cards was our thing. It's good to see Miss Peterson. I haven't seen you in so long, but trading cards and video games was our thing. If you don't want the cards, this is where the business, the entrepreneurship comes in at. There's a couple people in here that will buy the cards that's here. The negotiation process could take place in the back or whatever, but if you don't want the cards, Larry King, Corey Williams, they'll talk turkey with you if you don't want the cards, but don't throw them away. I spent a lot of money and time with trading cards and investing in trading cards, and it's my gift to you guys. I thank you, the Bailey family, for this gift, but my gift to you guys, the trading cards that we collect, and it's money. So don't throw away the money that's in your seats. Sell them to somebody in this room. But thank you guys so much for coming out. I appreciate y'all time, man, and I'll see y'all at the next event.